Smash that like and subscribe button as well as hit that notification icon so you get all the latest content updates from the channel. What's up, YouTube? This is your host Marcus J. Witherspoon, and this is my UFC 269 recap video. UFC 269 took place last Saturday night at the T-Mobile Arena in Paradise, Nevada. A card that was already thought to be a blockbuster event, minus the unfortunate cancellation of Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal. The event exceeded expectations as bold predictions came to fruition via shocking upset. Future stars continue to rise, and a champion many viewed as the fall guy to the challenger's assured victory, staking his claim as the true best in his division. We start this recap off with Sugar Sean O'Malley smashes Raulian Paiva for first round TKO. From the outset, O'Malley came out aggressive, knowing he had to look impressive, and easily one of the toughest fights he has had to date, as Paiva, to his credit, is no pushover. However, O'Malley's reach, speed, front body kicks, and blistering punch combinations were too much for Paiva to sustain any consistent counter to O'Malley's attack, eventually crumbling, causing the ref to step in. It was a truly impressive performance by O'Malley, and as well as many other fans, hope his next fight is a rematch against Marlon Chito Vera, as Vera is the only man to beat O'Malley and is the only opponent that makes sense for O'Malley next. Next up, we have Kai Kara-France ruins Cody Garbrandt's flyweight debut via first round highlight spectacular knockout. Former bantamweight champion Cody Garbrandt moved down to 125 pounds in hopes of resurging his career on Saturday night. Unfortunately, this did not come to fruition. This did not get off to a good start for Cody, as Kai Kara-France landed big right hands, was aggressive from the outset, and landed an incredible combination to finish the fight. Ever since Cody has been KO'd by TJ Dillashaw in their first bantamweight title encounter, Garbrandt punch resistance has left much to be desired, as he has suffered now multiple knockouts since that loss back a few years ago. And one has to wonder, has the game passed Cody by? It's, when a guy, we already know Cody has battled his demons with alcohol abuse, etc. That's one thing. But when a guy goes in there and consistently gets knocked out after having success, that's just a sign that maybe his body can't take the punishment that this game has to offer anymore. And one has to wonder, is retirement creeping in Cody's head after this latest loss, and after this latest, more importantly, knockout? As for Kai Kara-France, just based on name value alone, this was easily his biggest win. And with how impressive this showing was, this should only bolster his case for a future flyweight title shot, whether that be against Brandon Moreno or against Deiveson Figueiredo. As we all know, those two are heading for a trilogy fight. So with that being said, with how impressive Kai Kara-France looked in his fight against Cody Garbrandt, based on name value alone, Cody Garbrandt is the best fight that Kara-France has ever had and beat, regardless of what you think about Cody being washed, etc. So it will be interesting to see where Kai Kara-France goes from here. Will he wait for a title shot? Will he wait for this fight between Moreno and Figueiredo to happen before he requests a title shot? Or will he fight another top contender at flyweight and risk maybe after this fight losing his shot at a potential title shot? Because I think, especially now, if I was Kara-France, I would push for that title shot, being that I just beat a former champion, even though he's considered to be washed and he was coming down in weight. Okay, we're going to move on now to Jeff Neal defeats Santiago Ponzinibio by split decision. Jeff Neal defeated Santiago Ponzinibio by split decision in a back-and-forth fight that saw both men avoid takedowns and engage on the feet. The first round I scored the fight for Neal as he landed crisp left hands and did a good job evading Ponzinibio's counters, using really good footwork and really good upper body movement to evade any counter shots that Ponzinibio had coming at him in that first round. However, in round 2, sensing the urgency that he had to get closer to his opponent in order for his attack and his game plan to work, Ponzinibio cranked up the pressure, landing some big left hands in the process himself and throwing at a greater volume to take round 2, setting up for a third round that would determine the winner if the fight went to the cards. And that's exactly what happened. The fight ended up going to the cards. And in that third round, Neal seemed to get a second wind, use good footwork once again in crisp combos as he did in the first round to edge ahead and win the fight on the cards by split decision. It was a good fight, and it was a good must-need win for Neal, as we all know he was on a 2-fight losing skid before this fight, and this win should help him crack the top 10 at welterweight. As for Ponzinibio, he hasn't looked like the same fighter he was since returning from a 2-year layoff back in January. He hasn't looked like the same guy who was considered by many to be a future top contender, possibly even a future champion at welterweight. He was considered as such. He hasn't looked like that guy. But I also want to take into accountability, this guy is still working off octagon rust. Granted, this is his third fight this past year. He suffered a first round knockout loss in his return. He won his second return fight, and then he just lost this fight. So now he's getting his activity back. So one has to wonder, maybe with a little bit more activity under his belt in the future, maybe we could see the Pons go on a run and crack the top 10 or better. Now, we move on to the biggest part, the biggest segment of this video. Juliana Pena shocks the world, submits long-reigning bantamweight and featherweight champion Amanda Nunes in the second round to become the new women's bantamweight champion at 135 pounds. Leading up to this fight, Amanda Nunes, uncharacteristically, I mean, she's known for, saying little slick comments here and there, but she's not known really much for her trash talk. But leading up to this fight, she was doing a little bit of hefty trash talk against Juliana Pena, basically dismissing any shot that Pena had at upsetting her and beating her into becoming the new UFC bantamweight women's champion. However, leading up to this fight, if you watch the interviews with Pena, this fight literally played out exactly how Juliana Pena predicted. She had said in previous interviews, nobody believes me, but I am going to wear her down. I'm going to take everything she's got, the best that my body can take. And if my body can withstand what she has, the best of what she's given me, I'm going to tire her out and I'm going to finish her. And that's exactly how the fight played out. The first round, you saw Amanda be Amanda. Look strong, look fast, look sharp. She dropped Pena with a jab. But what happened after that? Pena got back up. And she started to get closer and started to touch Nunes with clean, hard, effective, straight shots, especially the jab. And that began to make Nunes gain a sense of urgency to where she felt she had to knock Pena out to win. The fact that she couldn't knock Pena out early mentally demoralized Amanda Nunes. Leading into the second round, which is why you started to see Amanda load up on her punches, load up on her strikes, because she was trying to get Juliana out of there because she knew the clock was ticking on her fatigue meter. She was getting tired. And you can even hear the commentary with DC and John Anik. They are both saying this. Juliana called this. Exactly how this fight is playing out. Juliana called this. Amanda's getting tired. Look at her. She's loading up on her shots. And that's exactly what happened. And a lot of people are giving flack to Amanda, saying she tapped out too soon. You look at how, when Juliana took her down, Nunes was completely exhausted. There was nothing left. She had nothing left in the tank. Nothing left in the tank whatsoever. It was a truly shocking outcome. I did not see that happening. I expected another vintage Amanda Nunes performance. And the fact that Juliana Pena called this, she called exactly the outcome, how it would play out. Kudos to her. Kudos to the new bantamweight champion. That woman earned it. She worked her ass off for it. And most importantly, she stuck to her game plan. Withstand the shots, the early storm. There was something that somebody said. There was something that somebody said a long time ago about Amanda Nunes. That if you can withstand the early storm, if you can get past that first round, you have a shot. And that's exactly what we saw. Juliana Pena got past that first round, and even towards the end of that first round, started to do consistent damage based on the fact that Nunes got tired as well. She implemented her game plan to a perfection. She let Nunes tank herself out, waste all her energy, and when she started to see the lightest bit of fatigue, when she started to see the lightest bit of loading up in Nunes strikes, she started to get closer with her attack and land clean, hard, effective shots. And that's eventually what led to Juliana Pena securing that takedown and submitting Amanda Nunes, becoming the new UFC Bantamweight champion. Now, as we all know, after this fight happened and in the days afterwards, have been announced that these two will run it back. There will be a rematch as expected. It is going to be interesting to see the nutritional approach that Amanda Nunes takes into this next fight, this rematch. Because me personally, I think the reason why Nunes had gotten so fatigued so fast in that fight, people got to understand, when you're bouncing up in weight, bouncing up and down, 135, 145, 135, back down to 135, that takes a toll on your body. And as we know, Amanda is not a spring chicken anymore. She's not 27, 28, 29. She is in her mid-30s now. That is a big significant role, especially when it comes to cutting weight. And me personally, I think that Amanda Nunes is more now of a full-fledged featherweight than she was maybe 2 years ago. But as we know, these two are going to run it back. The rematch will happen, and it's going to be interesting to see. Can Juliana Pena repeat? Or will it be revenge for Amanda Nunes, and will she restake her claim as the best fighter in the bantamweight division and across women's MMA, period? All right, now we're going to move on to the last part, the main event of this segment. The main event itself of the card. Charles Oliveira submits Dustin Poirier in the third round to retain his UFC lightweight championship. Going into this fight, Charles Oliveira was the champion. Everybody knew that. But going into this fight, even myself, I admit, had Dustin Poirier winning this fight. It was all but assured that Charles was just keeping the belt warm for Dustin, sorry about that, for Dustin to take over his eventual mantle. For the last couple years now, especially after his wins over Conor McGregor, and since Khabib Nurmagomedov has retired, many people have felt that Dustin Poirier is the best lightweight in the world. Well, on Saturday night, Charles Oliveira proved that that's a myth. That's a lie. Charles Oliveira, the first round, I gave to Dustin Poirier. Both landed good strikes, but I felt that Poirier did a good job of backing up Oliveira and landing good, hard avalanche-type shots, and he also put Oliveira down twice. The first knockdown was obviously like a flash knockdown. Oliveira got right back up. But the second knockdown did put Oliveira straight on his ass. However, in round 2, this fight played out exactly how Oliveira's fight with Michael Chandler played out. In the second round, Oliveira made the necessary adjustments to take over the fight. He grabbed a hold of Dustin, and he took him down, and he started to elbow him and use great ground and pound. He took over the fight by making the proper adjustments. Then in the third round, as we all know, during a situation where they both were pivoting, Oliveira pivots to the back of Dustin, jumps on his back, and secures a nasty standing rear naked choke that forces Dustin Poirier to tap. The skill level and the adjustment level of Charles Oliveira solidified that he is the best lightweight in the world right now. He is, bar none. The striking, the submissions, everything. This guy can literally do it all. You're talking about a guy who has been an underdog his entire career. Everybody wrote him off. He was like 9-8 his first 17 mixed martial arts fights. Nobody thought that this guy would become what he is today. Nobody. That just shows to the dedication of honing your craft. This guy honed his craft in the stand-up and especially in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu department. This guy is dangerous on the feet and on the ground. He's dangerous everywhere. That left hook, he did the same thing to Dustin what he did to Michael Chandler. In the second round, he adjusted. What happened? Landed a big left hook that startled Dustin and then secured a takedown and then started to pound on him. It was a truly impressive performance by Charles Oliveira. And now the general consensus is that his next fight will be against Justin Gaethje. And rightfully so. Gaethje beat Michael Chandler. They both are coming off wins of Michael Chandler, so this fight makes sense, and Gaethje deserves the title shot. As for Dustin Poirier, this is going to be very interesting to see where Poirier goes from here. For the simple fact is that this was truly heartbreaking for him. Everybody knows how badly he wants to be champion. And this is just, it's like they've been saying he just cannot win the big one. It just seems like when it comes down to the get down, and one could say, well, what about Conor McGregor? We're talking about for the championship here, for the belt. When it comes down to it, it just seems like he just can never get it done. But that does not take away from the fact that Dustin Poirier is an excellent fighter. And now the rumblings is that Nate Diaz wants to fight Dustin in January. And Dustin's in for it. Me personally, I don't like it because I think it's too big of a turnaround. Mentally, not even just physically, mentally for Dustin. If I'm Dustin, I would give it a few months and then take the fight. That's what I would do. But I'm not Dustin Poirier, so I can't make that decision. But that's what I would like to see. I would like to see them two fight. It was supposed to happen a couple years ago. We all know how that, ended up, getting canceled. So this is definitely a fight that has been in the making. It's definitely a fight that makes sense. It's definitely a fight that makes sense for Dustin in terms of money. So I would definitely like to see this fight. I just don't want to see it in January. But I want to know what you guys think. Hit the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think about UFC 269. Was you guys impressed with the card? Was you disappointed with the card? How impressed were you guys with Charles Oliveira? How impressed and shocked were you by Juliana Pena's win over Amanda Nunes? As well as, do you think Sugar Sean O'Malley and Chito Vera should fight next? As well as, do you think with the victory over Cody Garbrandt that Kai Kara-France should get the winner out of Figueiredo and Moreno? As well as, do you think with the victory over Ponzinibio, Jeff Neal cracks the top 10 at welterweight? And if so, who would you like to see Jeff Neal fight next? Once again, hit that comment section. I want to hear from you guys. But I'm going to wrap this up, guys. This is my UFC 269 recap video. Thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate the support. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, as well as hit the notification icon so you get all the latest content updates. This is Marcus J. Witherspoon with 717 Sports Chat Live. Stay blessed and enjoy your night, guys.